Hi, it's me Leo back again with another car review. In this video we're going to be reviewing the BMW F20 116D from 2016. And as always, if you do enjoy this video, be sure to hit that subscribe button. We've just hit 1,000 subscribers and we're going to aim for 20 likes in this video. Let's get on with the video. So we're going to start this video off by having a look at the exterior of this car. And as you can see, I think it looks very nice. We've got it in white here. This generation of BMW 1 Series started in 2011 and went on until 2019 before they updated it. This is a 2016 model and they also had a mid-life cycle update. So in 2015, I believe it was, they facelifted the car, changed the headlights, changed the rear headlights, and I think it looks a lot nicer. So here we have the facelifted version. Let's have a look. So we're gonna have a look at the bonnet. Got the LED headlights. We're gonna compare this to the pre-facelift, which we're gonna have an image up on screen right here. I think this looks a lot nicer. So we're moving on to the sides. How many inch alloys are these? Are these 16s? So here we have 16-inch alloys on the front and the back. So they're not large alloys, but they seem to fill the wheel arch okay. Blue calipers, disc brakes all around. It looks a little bit like a mini estate car. One thing about this car, for a small hatchback, it has a surprisingly large bonnet. Like that just goes on for miles. The size of this car is somewhere in between an Audi A1 and an Audi A3. If you're looking for a small hatchback, this is a good option. Got a little shark fin aerial, very cool. The pre-facelifted version of this car didn't have this extra headlight on the back of the boot, so there you go. Yeah, this side's pretty similar to the other side. I think it's just quite a neat looking car. It's completely caked in flies. Yeah, we're gonna do some B-roll of the outside of this car because it's quite a nice looking car. One thing to know, if you do get the 116D, it only has one tailpipe. Get your little singular tailpipe. Some would say that's not quite as sporty as having two. This is a very economical car. I think it's quoted it can do something like 75 miles to the gallon on the motorway, which is very good. I've driven this car about 100 miles so far, and I can say that I probably got about 60 to 65 miles to the gallon on a mixture of city driving and kind of A roads. So it is an economical car. I believe it produces about 90 grams of CO2 per kilometre, which makes it exempt from road tax. So road tax on this car would be free, which is cool. So trim wise, we have the Efficient Dynamic Plus, sold as BMW's kind of economical car trim, designed to be very economical. The Plus, so this is a Dynamic Eco Plus, which comes with rear parking sensors as standard, and it also apparently has got better aerodynamics. So this is even more economical than just the Efficient Dynamic trim. So the key that this car comes with is quite nice. It does feel a little bit light and hollow, but it's not the worst key that I felt. There's a button to unlock the boot and then an unlock button. The cool thing about this key is it's very similar to the CX-5 that we drove in our last car review. You can just put the key inside the car and then start the car. You don't need to pop the key in any slots, which is pretty cool. So we're now going to have a look at the boot of the 116D. So you have to unlock the car, then you're going to put your thumb in the BMW logo and then you can open the boot. And here we have it. It's actually quite a large boot for a small hatchback. I believe it's 360 litres. So in terms of small hatchbacks, it has a decent sized boot. It's probably, I think it's a little bit smaller than the A3. Can we fit inside the boot? We've got to test that. Yeah, I mean, I'm in the boot. One thing to note about the boot is because it's a BMW, they put the batteries in the boot. If we open up this boot hatch, there's not a whole lot of storage for a tyre or anything. If your tyre pops, you get that foam to fill it up with. There isn't any there, but there is space for it down there, and there is the battery there. But this just means there's not a whole lot of storage underneath the boot. Just keep that in mind. Little hatch for a first aid kit. There's nothing in there. Yeah, there's some storage here with a little bit of net, and there's some anchor points here and here. And then, as always, you can detach the boot lid like so, but there isn't really anywhere to store it in the boot apart from on the floor, so you'd probably have to leave it inside. Yeah, it barely even fits on the floor of the boot. While we've taken the load cover off, we can show you that you can actually push the back seats forward, give ourselves some extra room. Look at that, completely flat. You can lie the back seats fully flat, which is really cool. Cool feature. So we're now going to do the interior of this BMW 116D. Let's have a look. We have a manual gearbox in this version, but this also comes with a very good automatic, but we've gone with a manual. So it's a 6-speed manual. You've got the iDrive infotainment system. This doesn't have dual zone climate control, but it does just have climate control. You've got your radio, and then you've got your infotainment screen. This version of the car only has the smaller screen, but you can get ones with a 10-inch larger display, but it's pretty good actually. It's quite a high resolution screen, and then you can do sat nav, and then there's media, so you can connect your phone, go on the radio, and then it can start playing the radio. And then there's the volume controls here, light that displays how fast the fan speeds are, so you can use these to change that. So this is how you control the iDrive system with this little dial here that you twist. Got Sport and Eco Pro, so you can select the driver's mode by pressing Sport or Eco, so it will cycle through Eco Pro, Comfort and Sport. It's got a picture of a car swerving and off. You can use that to turn off traction control and stability control, which is pretty cool. Charging wise, we've got one of these old barrel ports here. Cool feature of this car is it actually has an armrest. For a small car, you don't usually see armrests. Storage isn't very deep, but you have got an aux cable and a USB, so you can charge stuff. You can actually move it forwards and backwards. It's pretty cool. I do like the fact this has a manual handbrake, not one of those electronic handbrakes that you see on some cars. Cup holders, we've got one cup holder here, like a deep one, and then a shallow one here. I don't know why this one's so shallow. I don't know if this can come out actually. Oh yeah, it can, and there's absolutely just crud inside there, so that needs cleaning out. So this is not an M Sport steering wheel, because this is not an M Sport car. I always have the steering wheel in the wrong position whenever I do these reviews, but it does, as you can see on this side, have control the volume of the infotainment screen and take calls using this side of the steering wheel. This side here is all to do with cruise control, so you can set cruise control using this. Pull the steering wheel in and out and up and down. So that's all the steering wheel adjustment that you get. This has the analog dials, which I think are quite cool, and they light up orange when you're driving at night. There's a lot of resistance to get it into reverse. And then there's the parking sensors. So that's a package that comes standard with the Efficient Dynamic Plus. So we've got quite good rear parking sensors, which is decent. The version we have here has the cloth seats. They feel all right for cloth seats. There's nothing special. One thing you may notice about BMWs with manual gearboxes, especially the F20 and F21 variants, is look at the gear knob when you start the engine. Look at this. It shakes all over the place. I was like, what's going on here? But apparently that is completely normal, because in other versions, or in other cars, the gearbox is usually in the front of the car, and there's kind of like wiring going from the gear selector to the gearbox, whereas in this car they've positioned the gearbox directly below the gear knob, so there's less dampening of the vibrations. But I mean, when you're driving, there's not really any vibrations coming through the gear selector, so that's pretty cool. So next we're going to have a look at the build quality of the dashboard. This is all soft touch. It's like foamy soft touch leather. Here we have metallic feeling. I think this is just plastic though. And then it's soft. Oh, it's scratchy. Felt lined glove box. Pretty normal. Soft here. This is all plastic, but I mean, there's not much squeaking when you press on it. There's a little bit of squeaking. Shiny black plastic. Down here is plastic, but it's silver and then more plastic. This feels quite solid. So this is metal, soft touch around the doors. This bit here is plastic, shiny plastic. You've got a speaker here, and then you've got your door bins. These are quite wide, and it's divided into 3 compartments. So you can put, what's in here? A little bit of a hand sanitizer. But yeah, 3 small compartments, no complaints. Oh yeah, and here we've got controls for all 4 electric windows. We're now gonna have a look at the back seats. Yeah, so these door bins are on the smaller side, but it's okay. It is a small car, so we're gonna go and sit in the back. We've got cloth seats, seating for 3, and then there's a little netting, so you can, a little bit of storage if you need it. Down here, we don't have any air vents. I don't know what this is. Something here. Yeah, I've literally got no idea what this is. And then down here, you've got a little barrel connector, so you can charge stuff with an adapter. Headrests, they're a bit funky. Unlike other headrests where you can kind of move them up and down, these ones flip up and there's a little button, you can flip them down. Space in the back is really good for a small hatchback. Yeah, so there's thumbs up from the back seat, so I would be happy to be a passenger in this car. Right, let's have a look in the middle seat. Some things to note if you have to sit in the middle of this car is that there's a massive lump in the floor down here. That's because this is a rear wheel drive car, so there has to be like a drive shaft down the middle. All right, so conclusion, if you're on either side of the back seat, thumbs up, it's comfortable, there's quite a lot of space. The middle seat, not so much. There's kind of a lot going on. Carrying on with features of the back of this car, I've heard people mention that the rear doors have this massive little kind of, don't even call it, just protrusion, this angle comes out of it. You've got to be careful you don't bang this on anything because it's the glass, it's part of the window. So we're going to go and have a look at the engine. Because it's BMW, you have to go down here. It's a little lever and you have to pull it twice because it's a BMW. But I am happy to say that this bonnet is strutted. So yeah, it holds itself up, that's good. The engine in this car is very interesting. So we are dealing with a 1.5 litre 3-cylinder diesel engine that outputs around about 115 horsepower. If you bought the second generation 1 series between the years of 2011 and 2015, that came with a 4-cylinder 1.5 litre diesel engine. The facelifted version of the second generation 1 series, which this is, so I believe it's 2016 to 2019 versions of this car, comes with the 3-cylinder diesel engine, which is interesting. I believe it's the same diesel engine that's in the Mini of this kind of time period. 116 horsepower and 270 newton meters. Because it's a diesel engine, it seems to be quite torquey, so that's why the torque figure is way higher than the horsepower. This isn't a quick car, but it's quick enough for someone that just wants to commute in it. This car's quick enough for just standard motorway driving. So we're now going to take this BMW 116D for a drive. Let's turn it on. Clutch down, power button on. For some reason, this car tends to default to Eco Pro on that little digital dash display, and then you can press the selector twice and it selects Sport, and then it shows on the screen. Yeah, we're now in Sport mode. There's better throttle response, and the steering's a little bit more weighty. I believe that's the only changes that happen to this car. Driving it is actually quite a nice car. It feels very firm and very planted on the ground. The only thing that I've noticed that's a bit weird is that the gearbox is quite hard to find the bite point, but that might just be me. Yeah, I mean, so we're in second gear, put your foot down. This does feel quite quick. It's quite a quick car. But as with most diesels, there is a little bit of turbo lag. So you put your foot down and you have to wait like a second for the turbos to spool up, and then you actually get that like rush of torque. So one of the other reasons that people get these BMW 1 Series is because they're rear wheel drive. And that means when you are accelerating, you can feel it from the back wheels push you rather than getting pulled by the front wheels. It might just be a placebo. Steering, I mean, we're in sport mode and it feels pretty good actually. I'm going to put it into Eco Pro. Does it change the steering? Yeah, the steering has immediately become a lot lighter. So yeah, that's quite cool that works. There's no issues with visibility. The back window is a bit small, but I mean, with the headrests down, then it's fine. So performance-wise, so as I did mention, this has 116 brake horsepower. For a small hatchback is an okay amount actually. I'm not saying that's terrible. My little Mitsubishi Colt only has 75 horsepower, so this does feel quicker than that. And when you are on the motorway, you are able to overtake cars absolutely fine, especially in sport mode. So I believe the 0 to 60 time of this car is 10.3 seconds, so it's not particularly quick. But when you're in gear, there is enough oomph to kind of push you. The brakes on this car are really good. I'm used to like terrible drum brakes, so they feel a little bit grabby to me, but I've got confidence in the brakes. Yeah, the brakes are good. One concern that some people might have is that it's a 3-cylinder diesel, and 3-cylinder diesels are known for idling quite rough just because of the balancing of the 3 cylinders, but this car feels absolutely fine when it idles. It's very smooth, and it being a 3-cylinder, you barely even notice it. It sounds like a diesel car, so it doesn't sound amazing, but it's quite a quiet car. There's not a lot of vibration coming through the steering wheel, and the steering is very darty. I think that's one of the things that BMW are known for, and especially this being a rear-wheel drive car. It feels very accurate, like I've not been in a car that's felt this accurate before. And at the same time, this car just doesn't use very much fuel because it is a very economical diesel car. So you can drive on A roads and get like above 60 miles to the gallon quite easily. Yeah, no, this car's really nice to drive. I'm having fun with this. The cruise control is also really good on this car. It has a light that kind of goes around the edge of the speedometer, and you can kind of set a speed that you want to stay at. And it uses both the accelerator and the braking to keep you at that speed. But obviously, if your speed does decrease too much, then you do have to manually change gear. So that would be another reason why the automatic might be a bit better to drive if you use cruise control a lot. So this is a good time to kind of test the acceleration. So we're in first gear. It is a diesel, so in first gear acceleration it's not that quick. Second's not as quick as if it was a petrol, but in third and fourth gear this car pulls. So it feels like all the acceleration is in third and fourth gear, which is very weird. Nothing like, well, this is not like a petrol car where you get a lot more acceleration in second gear. So that's something to be aware of. But I mean, you are in third and fourth gear probably more often than second gear. So this would be a good time to talk about the parking sensors because we've got a dustbin behind us. And I'm going to slowly reverse towards it and see if it picks it up. Yeah, and it visually shows you that there's an item behind you and it beeps. So it's a very good parking sensor, or rear parking sensor. Yeah, no issues there. So here you go, that has been the review on the BMW 116D from 2016. If you have enjoyed, be sure to hit that subscribe button. We've just hit 1,000, aiming for 20 likes. If you've got any questions about this car, be sure to leave it in the comment section. I'll get around to answering them. And yeah, I'll see everyone in my next video.